Hi, I'm Mia, and for my systematic survey paper, I did it on Pilates, which I also did for the portfolio and for the entire lab experience for the class. When I first saw that I got Pilates for my choice, it was something that I really wanted to do because I've done yoga in the past and I had no idea the difference. I know a couple people who've done Pilates, but I still didn't understand why someone would do that over yoga, if it was the same thing or better, or what the specific benefits were. So I was also really eager to try it because my entire life I've played sports that really focus on cardio, like soccer, basketball, or track, and they all involve running, and that puts a really hard strain on your body because I've had several injuries from it, including back pain, which is something I'll talk about soon. But I wanted to try something new, so when I got my freshman year of college, I was excited that I could try this out and go to the rec center classes for it. So once I started, it was a little rough at first because I'm not the most flexible person, but it definitely got better. So when I started researching it and for my systematic survey, I learned a bunch about it, and so here are some things I learned about it. It was first developed by a guy named Joseph Pilates in the 1920s, and it was actually originally an exercise for dancers for something that they could improve their strength and to enhance their dancing, and for soldiers, which is kind of interesting because those are two very different groups and types of activities that the soldiers and dancers would be doing. And this sort of proves how Pilates can really be for everyone and benefit such a wide variety of people. So for the scientific literature, the first study that I found was based on women who lived a sedentary lifestyle, and I think they were ages from 30s to 40s. And this was a good piece of evidence because it found that the women increased their flexibility, muscle strength, especially in the core, and also improved their mental state, feeling more relaxed and rejuvenated. The only limitation which would make this good instead of very good was that the sample is, they basically put out a flyer for people who lived a sedentary life so they could volunteer, but there's no technical way to see if they actually lived a sedentary life. And so this is something that could be improved upon because it was technically not completely randomized. And then a second piece of scientific literature was about non-specific lower back pain, which is something I could relate to, and I found firsthand that it really does make a difference. And I was scared that it would overwork my back, but really and the article also stated that all the focus on the core is super important for your lower back. And non-specific lower back pain is when someone has pain for over 12 weeks and there's not a specific diagnosis that the doctor has given. They can't recognize exactly what the source is, but it can be from a number of things. So the focus on the core is what helps the lower back. So that is what that study found. And lastly, the third article for scientific literature was comparing a yoga group to a Pilates group to a control group. And this was one of the questions I had, was what exactly is the difference between yoga and Pilates? And so the results stated that Pilates was proved significantly greater effects on physical functioning and like one's attitude. So the positivity after a class increased, and the negativity that the people expressed decreased, which I thought was interesting. And I would still like to look into why specifically Pilates was better in some ways than yoga. But this experiment was for 8 weeks, and the yoga group and Pilates group went 3 times a week for 60 minutes each. So it was an extensive research study, and it seemed pretty reliable to me. So that was a really good piece of evidence. For popular literature, I would say the popular literature I found really was not as strong as all 3 of the scientific literature pieces I found, but they are still proved to be viable evidence that were helpful in my systematic survey paper. So 2 of the articles were still good pieces of evidence and discussed the benefits such as bone density. So Pilates improves bone density, which is one that was not mentioned in the scientific literature. And this is due to all the tension from the muscles, pulls the bone, and actually fortifies it, which I thought was interesting. And then there's a lot of discussion on on whether or not Pilates helps you lose weight. And one of the articles cited a research study that their findings included that it really matters about whether it's a beginner, intermediate, or advanced class, and each class burns separate calories. So they found that Pilates can and is most helpful in losing weight if you're taking a more advanced class. And this serves also in providing like a toning effect for the body. So that's why definitely one of the benefits is a physical appearance in toning your muscles, such as in the legs and arms and abs more specifically. So lastly, the third piece of popular literature I found was pretty weak and did not provide a lot of evidence for my paper, and I couldn't rely on it because it did not cite any experts or any citations from other pieces of scientific literature. So I would not put a lot of confidence in that one. So overall, Pilates was a great experience, and I learned a lot from a systematic survey paper and how to tell the difference between reliable and credible sources from not so reliable sources. And other sources, or the scientific literature sources, even stated that Pilates still needs a lot more research to happen, because since it can help such a wide variety of people, it's important to study each benefit for those different groups, because there's a lot of groups out there that we might not even know that it helps, because it helps elderly, people with non-specific chronic back pain, healthy people, non-healthy people. So there's just a lot of things that are still unknown about Pilates. Thank you.